You wake to the sound of iron scraping stone. It's not a dream this time. Not the warm kitchen with the coal stove and the smell of lavender soap. Not the bread you'd left to rise. No. That life exists only in the folds of your memory now. What wakes you is the unmistakable clang of the turnkey's boots and the rattle of his keys, echoing like gunfire through the stone corridor. You open your eyes. The air is damp, sour with sweat and sickness. You taste rust in your mouth. Something, someone, has died nearby. You don't cry out. That habit left you weeks ago. Your daughter lies next to you, curled like a kitten, her breath shallow and slow. Her cheeks are sunken now. You pull the wool scrap tighter over her shoulders. It still holds a trace of warmth. From somewhere across the ward, a cough turns to a retch. A pot clatters to the floor. The day has begun. The magistrate's voice had been matter-of-fact. 6 towns and 3 shillings owed, 1 guinea court fee, no ability to pay. To the Marshalsea you go. And just like that, your life split in two. You remember that final day outside, the soot clinging to the snow, the muffled weeping of your wife, and the cart with its wooden wheels echoing down Fleet Street. London passed you by in fogged glances, chimney smoke, ragged children, bells from St. Paul's faint in the distance. You didn't kill anyone. You didn't steal. You owed a few pounds to a tailor, a milkman, and a coal merchant. But in the eyes of the Crown, poverty is its own crime. The jail door shut behind you with a sound you still hear in your dreams. Your daughter clutched your coat. Your son didn't speak for 2 days. And the smallest one, the baby, he cried until there were no more tears left. They say prison breaks a man, but no one speaks of the quiet splintering that happens when your child asks, "Did we do something bad?" You rise and walk toward the communal hearth, if it can be called that. A damp pit of brick, surrounded by men and women pressing tin bowls into weary hands. The breakfast is ladled from a rusted pot by the woman with the clubbed foot. Boiled oats and something gray floats in it, maybe suet, maybe rat. You trade your last button for a cup of the burnt dandelion root they call coffee. It tastes of ash, but it is hot. That counts for something. The man ahead of you in line, Callum, once a solicitor, collapses. He's not dead, just weak. You help him up. That's the rule here. Today's helper may need help tomorrow. You return to your place by the wall and spoon the oats into your daughter's mouth. She chews without thinking, without tasting. You tell her it's plum porridge. She gives you a half smile. Pretend is all that's left. Somewhere a woman begins to sing. Your middle child, Elsie, tugs at your sleeve. "Papa, will we go home today?" The words cut deeper than any debt collector's demand. You pause, eyes scanning the room, men wrapped in sackcloth, women with pocked faces rocking infants, and children, so many children, running barefoot on the cold stone floor. You answer the way all parents do here. Soon, my love. Soon. The word stretches and thins with each passing day. In this place, soon means not today, and not today means not ever, unless silver crosses a desk outside these walls. Elsie nods, her curls matted, her cheeks pale. She returns to playing with two other girls her age. They've made dolls from scraps of linen and twisted straw, eyes drawn with soot and dreams. Together they hum a skipping rhyme. Down goes debtor, down below, till the gold begins to flow. If none comes and none will pay, you'll see the sun on Judgment Day. The other children shout with laughter, spinning in dizzy circles until one stumbles over a bucket. Everyone cheers like it's a carnival. The smallest ones know no other world. You watch them from your place on the stone bench, one hand on your daughter's frail back. The laughter is louder than the coughing, for now, and that's something. The hidden rules. It takes a week to understand the spoken orders of the guards, but it takes months to grasp the unspoken rules of the prison. Don't sleep too near the wall. Mice chew fingers when hunger bites. Don't ask for seconds unless you're willing to barter something dear. Don't look too long at Mr. Brenly's wife unless you want a beating with his boot. And don't ever, ever try to wash before the magistrate's visit without bribe soap. In here, currency has many faces. A whole apple is a miracle. Soap, a status symbol. A wooden comb can buy protection for a week. A tin spoon is worth a secret. A pair of shoelaces, those could stop a man from hanging himself. You've managed to keep your dignity intact, but you've paid for it dearly. You gave away your boots so your son could have an extra blanket. You traded a family portrait for a bar of soap. And when a man from the upper tier offered 3 pieces of bread for an hour alone with your eldest daughter, you nearly killed him. You still have the scar on your knuckles from that night. Nobody offered again. But now your family eats last. That too is part of the cost. In silence, in darkness, the prisoners pass judgment. Not on the guards, not on the courts, but on each other. In the absence of justice, a cruel order still finds a way. You're scraping dried crust from the rim of your bowl when a voice cuts through the morning hum. Visiting hour, down hall, up to, no shouting, no touching. The words set off a quiet shuffle of anticipation. No one runs, they know better to draw attention, but hearts leap faster than feet. A name is called. Yours. You stand, light-headed, almost unwilling to believe it. You pass through the corridor, Past the cell with the dying man, whose cough now sounds like an old pump giving up the last of the well water. Past the women's quarters, where a baby's cries echo off moldy brick. And there, on the other side of a rusted iron grate, is your sister, Margaret. She's wearing gloves, clean ones, real leather. A lavender bonnet sits atop her carefully pinned curls. She smiles through tears. I brought broth, she says, holding up a small parcel wrapped in cloth. And news! I've petitioned the alderman. There may be a chance. A friend of Edwin's. He knows a clerk. Your legs almost give out. You press your fingertips to the bars, not daring to hope. Your voice comes in a whisper. Thank you. She speaks of the outside world, the Queen's latest address, the new mechanical bakery down the Strand, how the post office now delivers letters faster than a horse. She speaks of spring. But what stirs you most is not the talk of freedom. It's the smell on her, soap, lemon and tallow and starch, and the faintest trace of clean rain on wool. Your nose fills, your eyes sting. You haven't smelled anything pure in months. She's crying now. You both are. The turnkey taps his stick. Time's up. She presses the cloth through the gap. I'll be back, she promises. You watch her vanish beyond the corridor. You cradle the warm bundle like it's gold. And for the first time in weeks, you believe maybe, just maybe, this day could end differently than the last. By the far hearth, where the stones are warmest and the rats fewest, there's a quiet corner most don't dare approach unless invited. They call it the matchmaker's corner. It isn't for arranging weddings, not formally. It's for stories, for looks held too long, for whispered exchanges, and hearts that need somewhere to rest. You sit nearby, quietly observing, while your youngest naps in your lap. Across the hearth, Thomas, barefoot, with eyes the color of winter smoke, passes a torn scrap of linen to Mary Harrow, who is new and only 16. The linen is stained with broth, but scrawled on it in ash, "If you were free tomorrow, would you wait for me the day after?" Mary pretends not to notice. She tucks the scrap inside her sleeve and feeds her sister the last of their meal. Later she'll reply, maybe with a crumb of bread pressed into his hand, maybe with a nod, maybe never. In here, love is built from what's left. Some unions are bartered, strategic, like warmth on cold nights, but some are slow and strange and real. Eyes meet across the filth, and somehow tenderness grows, defying every foul thing this place throws at it. You remember your own wife, her laugh in spring, the way she tied her apron with a crooked knot. The last time you saw her, face white with worry, a baby on each hip, before they dragged you away. You whisper her name like a prayer. Across the room, Thomas catches your eye. He nods, just once. Somehow, that silent gesture feels like defiance, like dignity scraped from the bottom of a cracked bowl. You spot her again, Agnes, the baker's widow, on the edge of the washroom, a girl of maybe 35, with fingers raw from scrubbing stone. Today her head is bare. Her hair, once long and copper bright, is gone, sold. You heard her speak to the wig merchant through the bars last week. In exchange, she got 2 pence a scrap of soap, and a tin of dried milk, enough to keep her children breathing another day. But when she passes by now, heads turn, eyes follow, men mutter, women look away. To keep your children alive is heroic, but to sacrifice beauty, in here, that's dangerous. Later, you overhear her weeping, alone in the laundry hall. The sound doesn't rise. It just spills quietly onto the stones, like blood soaking into cloth. There's a man, Robert, whose hands tremble too much to work. He used to be a scholar. Now he kneels in the straw, cleaning boots for coins. Not because he's good at it, but because he still wears his old cravat, and people trust someone who once looked respectable. You hear him whisper to his son, "We do not beg, we exchange, always exchange." But the line between the two blurs more each day. Some sell their stories for coin, some sell truth, some sell company. You've never sold anything except the past, but even that has its cost. It begins like a whisper in the back of the throat, a dry cough, then another, and then another, this time from the child in the corner with the yellow blanket. By nightfall, 3 men are coughing blood. You know the signs, you've seen them in the workhouse. Fever, sweat, the stink of coming death. Cholera maybe, or typhus, or the one they just call the wasting. The guards don't intervene, not unless a body blocks the passage. You wrap your daughter tighter in her shawl and press a damp cloth to her forehead, though she isn't sick yet, not yet. Beside you, the boy from the northern cell, Peter, trembles in a fever dream. No family, no one watching, just a thin frame and a knotted scarf for a pillow. You hesitate. Your children are still well. Helping him could endanger them. But he's 17, maybe. His lips are cracked, his eyes swollen nearly shut. And then he whispers something through the pain. "Tell my sister I kept her drawing." You don't ask who she is, you don't even know if she's alive, but you reach into his coat pocket and feel it, a paper scrap, folded twice, stained and smudged with age, a tiny pencil sketch of a cottage, a girl waving from a porch. You tuck it into your sleeve, and then you stay by his side, all night, changing cloths, speaking softly, singing even. Not because you know it will save him, but because someone once did the same for you.
Night settles over the prison like soot. The air grows still. The whisper of rats in the walls is louder now. Somewhere a baby whimpers, half in dream. The echo drips like candle wax, slow and soundless. You sit against the damp stone, your daughter curled in your lap, and for the first time in days, she's warm. From the cloth Margaret brought, you've made a kind of soup, watered broth and crumbs, and it sat heavy in her belly. She smiles, then drifts, but sleep does not come to you. You stare at the single tallow candle burning beside the warden's bench. It flickers with each breath of cold. You imagine what it would be like to hold that light in your hands, how it would feel to walk, just walk past the barred doors, the iron grates, and out into night air that smells of spring grass instead of rot. You remember the bakery where you first met your wife. She was folding dough, face dusted in flour. You'd asked for 2 buns and left with none, too busy watching her smile. You tell that story now, softly, to your daughter. You speak of butter and rivers and trees that lose their leaves in autumn. She breathes evenly, lost in dreams. She never knew that world. But tonight, in story,
she visits it. You tuck the frayed blanket beneath her chin, then you lean your head against the wall and let the ache of the day drain from your bones. The candle burns low, and still you hope. Just before dawn, someone dies. They move him quietly, no ceremony, just hands lifting slack limbs into a cart. No name spoken, no record kept. He was only 32. You stand silently as the cart rolls by. The candle has gone out. The warmth is gone with it. Elsie clutches your coat. Papa, will they take us too? No, love, you whisper, not today. But inside a chill settles in your gut like wet clay. The boy you tended, Peter, still breathes, weak but alive. You gave him some of your soup. That means you'll go without today. That means something will come due. But in that trade something returned, a piece of your soul you thought you'd lost. You walk to the far wall and sit beneath the high barred window. You can't see the sky from here, but sometimes you catch a sliver of blue if the clouds break. It's the same sky that floats above your sister's house, above the bakery, above the Parliament. A sky that asks no one for coin. You think of the world beyond the walls, the factories, the smells of bread and coal smoke, the bells tolling at noon, the children skipping on cobbled streets. And you wonder, not for the first time, if anyone out there is thinking of you. You run your hand over the stone wall beside you, smooth in places from decades of fingers tracing the same path. You realize something. No one ever escapes this place. Not truly. But sometimes a soul does. The day ends like all days in the prison, quietly. No fanfare, no sunset. Just the slow fading of light and the weight of another hour endured. But you were here. You traded a button for broth. You told stories when you had no words left. You refused to let a boy die alone. You turned memory into shelter. You stitched hope from scraps. You lived, and so did they. Outside these walls, people forget. They forget that whole families once rotted here over debts the price of a loaf of bread. They forget that dignity can be stolen with silence. They forget that love, small, quiet, persistent, once bloomed between broken bodies and moldy straw. You remember now. And so, as the final candle flickers out, ask yourself, could I have survived this life? What would I have traded to keep my children breathing? How much love can fit in a single crust of bread? Sleep now with that question. Sleep gently and dream of open doors.